All right, guys, I want to talk to you about a technique today that every Michigan child knows by the time they're 5 years old. That is popping tubes. You know, a big key to rigging this tube is rigging it the right way the first time. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the tube, get all the pinnacles out of the way, take your jig and shove it right on in there. So I'm throwing this tube on a 7-foot medium heavy rod with braid to a fluorocarbon leader. This is a 7-to-1 reel. And what I'm doing is I'm positioning myself in deeper water, and I scanned these fish, I saw the school on the bottom, I marked them, and I'm throwing at that school. So what I'm doing is I'm letting this sink all the way down to the bottom. You see the line go flat, and you're kind of giving it a good pop. Reel it back, pop. The bait that I'm using here though is a 3.5-inch Berkeley power tube on I'm only using a 1/4 ounce here jig head, just because I'm fishing somewhat shallow. I'm sitting in 13 feet of water. You don't need anything too crazy. Now if I was dragging this on the bottom, I'd probably use a 1/2 ounce or 3/8 ounce, just so I can kind of have a little more disturbance in the water. You know, the big thing with this is small rod pops. Everything you do is going to be amplified in the water because you're using a braided line with a medium heavy rod. So you want to make sure that you're not overdoing it and getting yourself in trouble. Now I know a lot of guys out there will prefer a soft rod for this because it's a big open hook. You know, that being said, for the most part, I want to make sure I have good bottom contact. I want to make sure I can feel what's going on down there. You know, because the plastic of that tube is going to absorb a lot of the feel from that jig head. So it's important that you have either a lot of weight, you have a stiff rod, or you have sensitive line. You know, and I'm just not willing to give that up. The big key with it is fan casting. Being able to fan cast this and cover a lot of water is definitely the key. Unless you have isolated targets, you know, things like on St. Clair, you'll see spots in 8 feet of water that are sandgrass, right? So you'll have sand, and then you'll have a dark spot. So what I'll do, if I have that isolated cover, is I will fire past it a good 20 feet, maybe even 20 yards. It depends on how clear the water is and how far away my boat is. But you know, I'll position myself quite a bit away. So I want to make sure. Okay. So there are essentially two very different times that I actually use a tube in a popping style. So the first time will be, like I said, you know, St. Clair, fishing shallow, but I'm also fishing clear water. I'm looking for things to throw at. The other time is I'm fishing structure. So I'm fishing parallel to shelves. I'm usually fishing the bottom of these shelves. There are a ton of fish right here. You know, and to me that's usually the key, is to fish parallel to these shelves, position the boat to go right along it. So if you're fishing off the nose of the boat, you can fire down that and actually cover water more effectively. If you're fishing as a team, dude, if you can position one guy to throw off the shelf and one guy to throw on top of the shelf, you are... Ooh, that's a bite. You are set up to do work, man. Oh! I'm positioning the boat directly on the bottom side of that shelf. So I'm sitting in 15 feet of water, and there's 8 feet. Here, right where I'm standing, is 15 feet. So what that lets me do is it lets me essentially keep the bait in the strike zone longer. So our whole goal as an angler is to keep our bait in the strike zone as long as we possibly can to try and get strikes. And the most effective way to do that is to keep the bait in their face. You know, and I'm not saying this technique is easy for guys without fish finders. This technique is definitely a fish finder friendly technique. If you guys want to check out the products we're using today, look in the description down below. I'll have links down there. If you guys like the video, please like, subscribe to the video, dude, that'd be freaking awesome. Give me comments, guys. Let me know what you guys are using for tubes, what you guys use for deep water techniques. As always, guys, have a good one and good luck on the water.